All right, I guess we're about ready to get going here. This show runs on a very strict, schedule. So, as you can see, I've been doing this a long time. It's a great, great show. For some reason, even though I was from Kentucky and couldn't play like a French person, somehow they let me be in this show, and now I am a French-speaking. I ended up in a family where we spoke French all the time. So I had to learn it in order to know what was going on. And I think I'm almost a Yankee now. But they put me in this show for some reason, and I think it's a wonderful, wonderful show. I feel very grateful. Those old guys did it, kind of took me in. Don Bernard listened to me whistle one day down at the Creamery. He said, "What's that you're whistling?" I said, "Oh, it's just a fiddle tune." He said, "Why don't you come over to our house and play with us?" I said, "Oh, okay." So that was that. And it's just been wonderful. This show, to me, just kind of unusual, People call me up and they say, "Well, we're a famous band. We'd like to come and play here." I said, "No, sorry. It's just for all of us. St. Albans, Franklin County, Quebec people. You don't have to be particularly good, but it's a great show in that way. It's unique, I think. It's really wonderful. I've always loved it. So I'm glad to see there's somebody here to appreciate it. Anyway, we're going to start. I'm going to get everybody to come out, which they're going to do right on cue. Yes, Janice Carr there. And I will introduce everybody before they play, but we're just going to start out, play a few tunes together. And after that, we'll get underway with some other things. I'll play. But right now, we're going to play just a few little tunes together, get you all in the mood. And here we go. Now, I don't know, the sound man, where is the best? Anywhere on the stage. Anywhere on the stage. Okay. Tennessee Waltz.
We're going to be where we can hear you.
Okay. Here we go. Probably might know Golden Slippers and Maple Sugar, we're still playing right now. Just run them right together. Adam doesn't like it, but we're going to do it anyway.
And Adam never liked it.
So, 1, 2, 3. had the whole program worked out. But, you know, that's an exercise in futility. Because, you know, you get the thing all lined up, and then the people come and they say, well, my grandmother is listening to this instrument, and whatever. So we had to rearrange them. So I'm going to play a couple of tunes first with Janice. And, it's good job. We're going to play a tune, in Quebec they call it La Soupe au Pois. Pea soup reel, Don used to call it. Nice little French tune, and then La Rêve du Diable, the Devil's Dream. And then after that we'll play a tune that I don't really know the name of, but it's from a man in Quebec called Avila Leblanc. He just called it Cadere, just quadrille. Nice little tune. So we're going to play those three. And I used to have somebody who was backstage getting people ready. And right now, the next performer will be Neil Rossi, who is from Fairfax. And I said, Neil? I said, Neil, what would you like me to say about you? And I said, Neil? Hope he's back there. Oh, there he is. Yeah. He's waiting for me. That's the way it is, you know. He said, I think you should say I'm a listener. And the first time I heard him play, I thought, there's a man who has listened very well. So here's Neil Rossi.
Thank you. I hope you don't mind if I used to be able to stand all night long and play. I can't do that anymore. Can you all hear me? No. I'll try to talk louder.
Where's the microphone?
I'll lean back like this. I'm from the old school of fiddle players and performers when the best you could get in a sound system was a Shure Vocal Master that came in like a carrying case. And in order to make yourself heard, you had to get like within 2 inches of the microphone to be heard. That's not true anymore, I hope. So I didn't hear what Franklin said about me. None of it is true. I got my start in old time and bluegrass, and I played that for a lot of years. And the past 10 years or so, I've been more into Irish music and less into the American forms of music. But I will play you a selection of a bunch of those. I'll do a few tunes now, and I'll come back a little later and play some tunes. So let me just pull out this sheet, which reminds me of what I'm going to play. So the first tune is an Irish jig. This is called Australian Waters, and it's written by Vincent Campbell. The second one is a traditional tune called Spanish Misfortune, 3-part tune. And the last one is called the Blarney Pilgrim. You may recognize them, or you may not. Anyway, nice tunes. And I like to play these slower. A lot of Irish fiddle players like to play them as fast as they can to show off how fast their fingers are. And I think you lose the music when you do that. Australian Waters. Let me do you a couple of old-time tunes. Let's see what we'll do here. How about all right, Gray Eagle and Durham's Bull. Gray Eagle's a really old tune, been around for better than 100 years, more than that, I think. One of the first tunes was recorded when there was a resurgence of old-time music in the 1920s. The record companies found, oh, look, yes. Much better, thank you. Record companies found that they could make a lot of money by selling records of Southern tunes to all of the people who had moved out of the South, who had moved up north to find work, because there wasn't any work down south. So they made a killing in places like Detroit and Chicago and New York, selling these old tunes. And you can find traces of these tunes going back to, well, to the early 1920s, even earlier. So this one is, what did I say I was going to do? Gray Eagle. And the one after that, I'll just jump right into it. It's called Durham's Bull. It's a tune written by Buddy Durham, who's a fiddle player on the WWVA Jamboree in Wheeling, West Virginia. Thank you. Everything like time? Okay? Yeah, all right. Well, maybe a couple more. Let's see here. How about a couple of Irish hornpipes? And just to make sure I don't forget them. This has been happening a lot more recently. I hate to admit it, but I'm starting to forget the beginnings of tunes. I never used to do that before. So here's two hornpipes. First one is quite old. It's called Chief O'Neill's Favorite, and it was either written by or for Chief Francis O'Neill, who was the head of the police department in Chicago around 1900, 1910. And he was, like many other cops of the time, an Irish immigrant. And when he came over, he played a little fiddle, and he wanted to remember these tunes. And like me, he found he was forgetting them. So he started to write them down. And he found a sergeant in his department who was well tutored in music and was able to transcribe these tunes as he played them. And before he knew it, he had almost 1,200 tunes that he published in a book called O'Neill's Traditional Music of Ireland. And it's still available, and it's a wonderful thing to have if you like this music at all. You find some terrific tunes. The second one is a tune called Cashleen Nor, which is Irish for the Gold Castle, and it was written by, I'm just pulling a blank on his name. Unfortunately, I wrote it down. Junior Crea. And he was a prolific composer who died not that long ago, maybe 10 years or so. So, start with Chief O'Neill's. Maybe I'll leave you with an up-tempo tune from the old-time tradition. Let's see, how about Blackberry Blossom? I used to play this tune a lot when I was younger. And I decided it was too hard for me. I stopped playing it. And I picked it up again when I learned to play the fiddle better. So this is what it sounds like now. I'm not sure if it sounds the same as when I played it back a long time ago. Thank you so much. I'll come back later and play a few tunes.
Should we just do this kind of like in between us? Can you all hear us okay? All right, we understand we're next, so we're coming on stage. I'm Sarah Hotchkiss, and this is John Moed. Franklin kindly gave us a call last night and invited us to join the stage tonight. I guess they might be missing some people or something, so we're filling in. And so our pre-rehearsal consisted of a conversation on the way here, because I was taking care of my granddaughter until this afternoon. So anyway, we're happy to be here. This is a really fun venue for us to be in. We're very, very happy to be here. We just hope that we can do it justice on short notice. I'm going to start by playing a couple of tunes that John wrote, actually. The first one is called Can't Sleep Waltz, which he wrote late at night when he couldn't sleep. And, oh, thank you for the extra microphone. Nice. Oh. Oopsies. Let's try that. Stay. Oh, you want to? Oh, great. Yeah, go ahead and tighten that up a little bit. And we'll follow that by a tune called Sous de la Frontière, which is a fun tune John wrote to honor all of our friends who come down from across the border to share their incredible music with us. You all set there? I just got to do a quick tune check here. hour. There's a big temperature shift between the room we were in and out here, so,
Showing her
yeah. Yep.
if I'm flat.
You'll be glad he's gotten this guitar tune, I guarantee you. John's gonna play a couple of fiddle tunes. The first one that he's gonna play is Real de Sucre, in honor of the Sugar Festival. Do you have where is this from? What's your source?
Now, this is a tune from the La Famille Baudouin, the great French-Canadian music family from Burlington. And this one is called Real de Sucre, or Sugar Real.
I think it's really nice.
And I got it from one of Louis' albums. Left my WD-40 at home, a little bit rusty. And then, let's see, what do we got
St.
here?
Anne's and Gaspé, St. Anne's.
Okay, yeah. Gaspé Real, which is another one from La Famille Baudouin. Louis played it with 3 parts. I'm only going to play with 2 parts, because the third part is really hard. And then I'm going to play the Canadian Fiddlers' national anthem, St. Anne's Reel. Okay.
Like I said, I had to talk our rehearsal. Part of the rehearsal is sitting there, like humming out the tunes and like doing the fingering on the steering wheel as you're going. Go ahead. Now, I'm going to call out Janice Carr to join us while I grab my fiddle. Tip this way just a little bit so I can see. So wonderful to have Janice to be able to play with us for old time's sake. And speaking of old time's sake, we're going to play a set of tunes written by Ron West, who used to grace this stage. I don't know if there's anybody out there who still remembers Ron West, but he is a great, great fiddler from Richford, Vermont, who taught a lot of people how to play the fiddle and was one of the nicest fiddlers we know, and wrote wonderful tunes. So the first one is called Teresa's Waltz, and then we're going to go into a tune he called 10 Brothers Two-Step. That's because he had like 10 uncles, right?
No, brothers.
10 brothers. He actually had 10 brothers, really? Okay, I just learned something. And then a tune called Wrong Way Bridge in honor of the bridge that was put in the wrong way in Cambridge, if y'all know about that. Let's just, do you want to just give us a quick make sure. You okay? 1, 2, 3.
I didn't really get to introduce John and Sarah because I was back trying to find somebody in the backstage. But they were nice enough after a bunch of people bailed out on me because they all had good reasons, but it was all at the last minute. So they agreed to come and play, and I'm really thankful. They're great. Sarah, they started the Vermont Fiddle Orchestra. I didn't get to say that, and a lot of people, enjoy that, and they really started that whole thing. And now we have next. This is Joanne Garton, and she's going to be playing with some of her fiddle students. And I hope I get the name right, but it's Mela Landis Marinello. Mela is here. She's 16. And Rowan is 13. And Tenzo is 11. And they're from Middlesex. And they all take music lessons, and they kind of play together, and it seems like I wish I could have grown up in this family. Anyway, Joanne Garton is from Montpelier, and I used to run into her up at, there used to be a place when I was going up to Quebec a lot. We moved to Quebec for a year or so. And I run into her at this little place called the Vice Versa. It's a little kind of a brewery, and she would play, and a wonderful fiddle player and step dancer. And she's been helping them, and here they are. And they're just going to play a few things, and then I'll be back.
Thanks for bearing with us while we get set up. There's a lot of instruments and strings and keys to get ready. So we have 5 sets of tunes for you today. Super excited to get to be part of this event. The first set is a jig called Maison de Glace and a slip jig, a contemporary tune called Farewell to Valley Range. And these are some tunes we learned at Maine Fiddle Camp and at a youth trad band class that we have in Montpelier. So that slip jig was actually by a flute player, so we were, Michael McGoldrick, so we were happy to have Mela playing flute, but as you'll see, everyone plays multiple instruments, and it must be a very fun household to live in, perhaps chaotic at times, all the practicing. We've got a couple reels for you now, one called Julia Delaney, traditional Irish reel, and Tam Lynn, also an Irish reel, and if you've ever done or seen any Irish step dancers, they often dance to this tune. It's a popular one. One, two, ready, and... that was Julia Delaney's and Tamlin, might be one that you've heard around. But definitely some Irish tunes, but we're gonna switch gears into another tune that's popular around our neck of the woods in Montpelier called Coleman's March. And I believe this is the traditional Scottish march, but is made fairly popular around our area by Pete Sutherland. And a lot of us played this tune with him, and we want to share it all with you. So Coleman's March.
Okay, so next we're gonna play Calliope House into Old Grey Cat, into Mary Devlin's. And we're gonna play an intro used by Alistair and Natalie. Sorry, Alistair Fraser and Natalie Haas.
Thanks. We have one final set for you this evening. And again, this is Mela, Tenzo, and Rowan. And we're super excited to be here. It's our first time coming to the Maple Festival in St. Albans. So thanks for having us. We have one set of reels for you left. Lexi McCaskill is a traditional Scottish pipe tune, but we didn't bring a piper with us today, maybe next time, into a really cool tune called Zito the Bubble Man, which is also a bagpipe tune, if you can believe it. So I don't know who wrote it, do you? No. Mysteries. We'll get back to you. So Lexi McCaskill into Zito the Bubble Man. To start. One, two,
I want to make a little announcement here now, which is that every year they used to call it a scholarship, Started, I think it was like $50, $100. I used to wonder, well, I wonder what college they're going to. But it was a scholarship, and it was generous. And now the Maple Festival and the Fidium Fiber Company have combined, and they're giving quite a bit more generous gift every year to some students. And when I was talking to Joanne, she mentioned this family. She said there's 3 of them that were taking lessons, and so you can do the math yourself. I know that they will appreciate this, and they are the Fidium Fiber. And, this is the point where the 2018 winner, Isabella, is going to walk out. And, there she is. I love it when it happens when I say it's going to. Going to present them with the check, and I think we should all give them a big hand, and also to their parents. The parents, Kyle and Talicia Landis Marinello, and I know I used to go downtown to Louisville and take banjo lessons with an old man, but I had to take the bus. And, you know, I know that their mother and father do a lot of work with this, and so
Yeah, thank you all so much. This is awesome. Yeah.
I know they appreciate it. So let's give them a round of applause. They're from Middlesex. Okay. Now, next is going to be a person that, if you've ever been to this thing before, you've seen Michelle Chouinard, you've seen her dad, Fabe. He used to put that tiny little harmonica in his mouth, and we were always worried he was going to swallow it, but he never did. I don't know how he did that, but Michelle, of course, she grew up in right here in St. Albans. She is our BFA graduate here tonight, and she's going to sing some songs. She got a lot of songs from her mom and dad, songs in French. And her daughter, Isabella, is going to play with her at some point. And right now, here they are. Yes. So, Michelle Chouinard va chanter des belles chansons en français. And I had to learn to speak French to understand my family. I used to go back down to Kentucky. My dad said, "How is it up there with them Quebecos?" I said, "Dad, it's Quebecois." But anyway, he figured it out after a while. Michelle and Isabella.
Bonsoir tout le monde. Comment ça va? We're very happy to be here again this year. I'm very happy to be performing here with my daughter Isabella. Last time she was here was in 2019, and now she's 17 years old. On va chanter une chanson. I'm going to share a song that I learned from my mother, and it's entitled Par un samedi matin. It talks about the groom who takes his bride to the church and to the dance and the reception and the honeymoon, but I don't sing about the honeymoon. I just stick to the church and the reception. So, Par un samedi matin. Par un samedi matin, Lucille se marie. Par un samedi matin, Lucille se marie. Prend un homme âgé devait être devant la petite Lucille. Comme elle a le cœur content, elle prend un homme âgé devait être devant la petite Lucille. Comme elle a le cœur content, il la prend par la main, la conduit à l'église. Il la prend par la main, la conduit à l'église. Marche, ma belle Lucille, fais bien, tu t'es pas ma petite Lucille. On marche sans très longtemps. Marche, ma belle Lucille, fais bien, tu t'es pas ma petite Lucille. On marche sans très longtemps. Il la prend par la main, La conduit à la danse, il la prend par la main. La conduit à la danse, danse ma belle Lucille. Fais bien, tu t'es pas ma petite Lucille. On dansera très longtemps, danse ma belle Lucille. Fais bien, tu t'es pas ma petite Lucille. On dansera très longtemps. Excusez-la.
So the next set of tunes that we're going to be playing is a set of Louis Baudouin tunes, Reel in D, Eddie's Reel, and Dad's Reel. I learned the three of these, I believe, from Pete Sutherland, but my first teacher, Sarah Hotchkiss, is actually here in the audience tonight, so I wanted to give her a shout out as she performed earlier. So thank you, Sarah, for giving me my first fiddle experience. Let's see, am I missing anything else? I don't think. Okay.
Okay. Bonjour, bonsoir. Okay, I'm going to sing a little song, another song I learned from my mother in the kitchen. A song about my belle petite maison dans la vallée. It's an old song that a country singer in Quebec used to sing. Her name was Marie King. I'm not sure if she's still alive, but anyway, this is a song that she used to sing, and I used to hear my parents play this in the house all the time. So, dans ma belle petite maison dans la vallée, in my beautiful little house in the valley, where I will always live. Dans ma belle petite maison dans la vallée, jusqu'à la fin de mes jours je vivrai. Mon petit mari à mon cou, mes enfants sur mes genoux, dans ma belle petite maison dans la vallée. C'est une toute petite maison avec un beau grand gazon, et je suis certain que si vous la voyez, vous serez tous comme nous, vous l'admirez comme des fous, dans cette belle petite maison dans la vallée. Dans ma belle petite maison dans la vallée, jusqu'à la fin de mes jours je vivrai. Mon petit mari à mon cou, mes enfants sur mes genoux, dans ma belle petite maison dans la vallée. Solo! Et je suis certain que si vous la voyez, vous serez tous comme nous, vous l'admirez comme des fous, dans cette belle petite maison dans la vallée. Dans ma belle petite maison dans la vallée, jusqu'à la fin de mes jours je vivrai. Mon petit mari à mon cou, mes enfants sur mes genoux, dans ma belle petite maison dans la vallée.
Okay, so the next set of tunes that we're going to play are a set of Franco-American Quebecois tunes. The last one is one that my Pepe Fabio used to play. Yesterday would have been his birthday, his 96th birthday. And he was a frequent player here at the Maple Festival, for those who might remember. This is also a set that I introduced to the Young Tradition Vermont Touring Group. I'm a youth artist leader there this year, and I hope you enjoy.
diamant, la famille se réunit pour leur noce de diamant. Le champagne qui pétille fait pitié tous les yeux quand une petite fille vient demander au bon vieux: voulez-vous danser, grand-mère? Voulez-vous valser, grand-père? Tout comme au bon vieux temps, quand nous avions 20 ans, sur un air qui vous rappelle combien la vie était belle. Pour votre anniversaire, voulez-vous danser, grand-mère? Comme la joie est immense, on fait jouer au phono le disque d'une romance aux accents doux et vieillots. Alors oublions leur guide, en souvenir du passé, les deux aïeux vont dire de ces dides, et du joyeux vont danser. Voulez-vous danser, grand-mère? Voulez-vous valser, grand-père? Tout comme au bon vieux temps, quand nous avions 20 ans, sur un air qui vous rappelle combien la vie était belle. Pour votre anniversaire, voulez-vous danser, grand-mère? Pour votre anniversaire, voulez-vous danser, grand-mère? I haven't sung that song in years, but I sang that for Madame Langevin, who's here in the audience, and I decided I was going to sing that for you tonight. So I'm sorry if I made a little mistake there, but.
Okay, I think we have another fiddle set here. The first one is a tune called Real Castonguay. I originally thought it was called the Apple Bow Walking Tune, but that's actually Swedish, so totally different part of the world. And then the next one will be Cooley's Reel, and then after that, Miss Monaghan's, which are a couple of Irish tunes.
Thank you so much for listening to our concert, our part of the concert tonight, and we're going to end with a final waltz. Isabella, you want to talk about the waltz?
Yeah, so the last waltz we're going to play is called Ramsey Waltz. I don't know a whole lot about it, then, you know, it sounds nice and it's in G, so why not? Nice way to end the set.
That was very nice. And it's always a pleasure to hear Michelle sing. She was a friend of Martha Pellerin's. They went up to Highgate and collected all kinds of really great tunes. And lovely to hear them. Next is going to be Adam Boyce. Comes from West Windsor, Vermont. As he says, in the beautiful Moonshine Valley. So that's where he lives. And he was a great, I think he spent a lot of time playing with Harold Luce, who I don't know if any of you have heard of, but Harold Luce was just a wonderful, wonderful fiddler from down in the southern part of the state. And I met him a few times. It was great. He had an unmistakable style. People loved to dance to him. And he was a really smart guy. He invented a machine so that if he didn't have a piano player around, he had this machine where he could use some pedals and it would play all the chords on the piano while he was playing his violin. I've seen a picture of it. It looked like somebody took a giant loom and sort of crashed it into the top of a piano. And it was an amazing contraption. Anyway, Adam spent a lot of time playing with Harold, and he also he had a long-time show he did where he impersonated a Charles Ross Taggart, who was he was called the Old Country Fiddler. He was a guy who just kind of went around being an old Vermonter, for commercial purposes. Down south we had String Bean and Grandpa Jones. Up here they had Charles Ross Taggart. Anyway, I'd like you to welcome Adam Boyce, one of the great Vermont fiddlers.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty near ready to go to bed right now. But everybody got your buckets all pulled, washed? Yeah, I got mine all done. I only had 2, so it didn't take me very long. I guess we're going to start with a polka, and since this is the Maple Festival, this is the Maple Leaf Polka. And I don't know who I first, probably it was the late David Carpenter from Cabot, who might have played this one. But I heard it on contest records, and it's a dandy little tune. You'll see. remembers the late Ron West from Richford, but he was a very excellent player, and he composed several tunes, including this one, which is The Hills of Vermont. In A. Now, this is a jig, and for those not musically inclined, a jig is usually 6/8, 9/8, or 12/8 time. Or if you can follow along and say jiggity, 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 jig, it's probably a jig. And this one is Portland Fancy, which might be for Portland, Maine, or it might be for Portland, England. So whichever one you want, that's what it could be. But it's a very old tune used for, there was a dance by that name, done for many generations in New England. So we'll give it a go here. Franklin was mentioning, my fiddle teacher was a fellow way down in Orange County, the Shire town of Chelsea, named Harold Chuck Luce. And he was quite a dance fiddler and taught thousands of people from all over, and was a featured fiddler by the Smithsonian back around 1983, and went down and played with a bunch of folks down in Washington, D.C. And there are several tunes I associate with Harold, but I think we're going to do Mexicali Rose. And but sometimes they morph into the Kentucky Waltz because they're almost identical. But I played this up to Sheffield a few years ago. They had a fiddle contest, and my wife told me afterwards, when I was playing Mexicali Rose, everybody behind her was singing. So if you know the words, now, not that anybody here looks old enough to remember when that came out, but it was a day or two before yesterday. But if you know it and you want to sing it, it ain't much of a dance floor unless you want to come up on the stage, but I always feel more comfortable when people are dancing. But Mexicali Rose and the Kentucky Waltz in the key of C. there's another one Harold always did that probably people don't associate with old-time fiddling, but it was the beer barrel polka. And this is another one, people usually know the chorus. So if you do, you're telling entirely too much about your age, but it's still a good tune. C goes to key of F. And another one before your time, 1920, Whispering, which is a foxtrot. And they don't do too much of those foxtrots anymore, but I like them just the same, in the key of C. anybody with it, but there are 2 feet on here. And there was a fiddler up in Newport by the name of Wilfred Gillette, and he had one of these boards, and it says right and left. And hopefully I won't go doing this, but a lot of these French-Canadian players always said, well, we've had some real good ones tonight, so I don't know that I can really compete, but I am going to try to stomp, and then if I get the feet right, but these are all in the key of G, so, and the names seem to change depending on who the player is, but this first one is strawberries and raspberries, so for you French people, that's a different name. It's something like La Froise or La Framboise or something like that, out in the milkweed or whatever it is. And then there's the Frenchman's bellyache. And then this third one, we kind of had a discussion. We don't know what the name is, but George Maley from down in Essex Junction used to call it the silver wedding reel. And Wilfred Gillette called it something else. So whatever they are, they're all in the key of G. And so let's see if I can probably have it played with a foot stomper in about a while. If I can get it going.
This is a, I don't really have an official set here, but I just kind of grabbed anybody who I thought would be fun to play with, which is everybody. Try to get them to play one tune with me. So I convinced Adam to play a nice little Scotch tune with me. Ye Banks and Braids. It's Robbie Burns put a tune to it. I've just spent a bunch of time this winter down in Kentucky with a bunch of my relatives, and a lot of them came from Scotland, so I'm kind of in that mood a little bit. I'll send this one out to, I had one branch of the family, they were called Hogg, and they came over to Kentucky about 1780s, and this fellow, James Hogg, married a woman named Albans. And when he got to Kentucky, he decided he'd change his name to Elvis instead of the other way around. I've never known quite why. But this guy arrived there, and then he went to the Continental Congress and tried to convince them that him and his buddies owned a vast section of land stretching from Ohio through the middle of Kentucky all the way down to Nashville. And they wanted to call this Transylvania. So he went to the Continental Congress and asked that they would grant them this state for themselves, and the Continental Congress said, forget it. So this is for James Hogg. Ye Banks and Braids. Okay. Now, next, I think Neil is going to come do a few more tunes. And here he is. You want to do? Yeah, we'll do. I guess first we'll do one together, and then Neil's going to play some other tunes from down south, and right after that, we'll pretty much be winding things up. So, yeah. This is another tune from down in Kentucky called Merryweather. It comes from a county right there where a lot of my relatives are from. It's a nice old tune. Like I say, I was visiting, so I thought I just kind of was in my mind. I just walked in, I said, Neil, you want to play this tune? He said, sure. So we're going to do it. Neil's got to go get an instrument, and then he'll play a few tunes. And maybe, yeah, we'll have another little tiny set of tunes after that, and that'll be it. And I'd like to thank you all in advance for coming. I hope you've enjoyed the show. A lot of diversity. It's come a ways since when it was just a bunch of people from right around St. Albans, but they're still just only people from Vermont, so it's a nice show. Thank you for coming. Neil Rossi.
Thank you, Franklin. Is this still? Yes, okay. Mostly, old-time fiddlers play out of standard tuning, G, D, A, E. Sometimes they'll get tricky and they will tune the bottom two strings with the top two or vice versa so that you have a full chord. But in fact, because none of these players, or almost none of them, were trained musicians, they had no idea how to tune a fiddle. So over the course of 100 years or so, back in the mountains, people would make up their own tunings. There was once a booklet that was available, I should look around and see if I still have it, listing all of the known tunings for a fiddle in the mountains and the tunes that were played out of those tunings. So I will do you two tunes now in an odd tuning, which is E, D, A, E. So this bottom string, which is normally a G, is tuned down to an E, so I get a nice drone when I play in the key of E. It's a nice lonesome sound. Fiddle players like that. So here's a couple of tunes. First one, I'll play them separately. First one is called Glory in the Meeting House. I was playing this tune down the stairs. Franklin ran down and he says, "That's Glory in a Meeting House." And sure enough, he recognized it because it's a Kentucky tune. And I learned this from a guy named Art Stamper. Thank you. There was a feller named Eck Robertson. His real name was Alexander, but his little sister couldn't pronounce Alexander when she was 2 or 3 years old, so she just called her brother Eck, and the name stuck. So he was Eck Robertson for the longest time. And he lived in Texas and spent some time, if I remember correctly, with the Confederate Army. So this was a long time ago when he was a kid. And learned to play fiddle in the Texas style. sometime around 1922 or so, he decided he wanted to make a record because it seemed like, you know, any average Joe off the street could walk in and make a record based on what he'd heard on the records. He says, I can play better than that. So he got his buddy, whose name was Henry Gilliland, and they took the train from Amarillo, Texas, up to New York City. And they walked into the record company office, I think it's either Jeanette or RCA, I don't remember right now, and said, we want to make a record. And they kind of pointed at him and laughed a little bit. Said, you don't know how this works, you just can't walk in and make a record. And the guy who was in charge of the record company says, well, all right, as long as you're here, play me a tune, all right? I'm about to go to lunch, play me a tune, make me happy. So he played a tune called Sally Gooden, which is about as simple a tune as you can do. I'm in the wrong tuning for it, but it's a... It's like a 3-note melody range. There's nothing to it. He put in like 15 variations on that, played all up the neck. And by the time he finished, everyone in the office had their jaw hanging down. They were kind of drooling out of one side of their mouth. And he said, all right, see you here tomorrow morning. You come in and you record 4 or 8 sides. I don't remember what it was. And they put them out. And that was the first record that really hit the American popular opinion. And he sold a lot of Sally Gooden when that record came out. This is not Sally Gooden. This is another tune he recorded called Say Old Man, Can You Play the Fiddle? And it's in this odd little tuning that I've got on the fiddle now. And it starts off with him saying, carrying on 2 sides of a conversation, say old man, can you play the fiddle? Well, if I get drunk, I can play a little. Just standard tuning now. Let's do one is called Drowsy Maggie, and the second one is Coolies, which I think I heard played earlier, but. Thank you. Nobody tonight, I think, has played any slip jigs, so I will do that, just so you can say that you've heard slip jig. Slip jigs are just like regular jigs, except they got a little extra on the end of them. So instead of 6/8 time, which is da-da-da, jiggity, jiggity, it's da-da-da, jiggity, 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 da-da-da. So here's two tunes. First one is called Leitrim Fancy, and the second one is Redican's Mother. Sorry, let's start that again. Thank you. Are we going on time? One more? Okay. Well, let's figure out what we're going to do here. How about, all right, I'll play a tune I don't do very often. I like this a lot, but none of the people I play music with know the tune, so it's always me playing alone. That's no fun. So I don't do it very much, but since I'm playing alone tonight, I will play this tune, which is called Eileen Curran. And when I first learned it, I learned it by a different name, which is called The Sailor Set Down on the Shore, which I always thought was very poetic, and it certainly deserved to have a tune named after it. So that's what I call it, Sailor Set Down on the Shore. And it's quite an old tune. Probably goes back at least 150, maybe 200 years, because it's in some of the early collections. And after that one, I'll play you a little bit of a, I don't remember if it's 4 or 5 parts, tune called Farewell to Erin. That doesn't sound good. Better.
Janice and I are going to play one more little tiny set of some French tunes. And then, by magic, all the remaining fiddlers will come out on stage, and we will do whatever Adam says. So, here we go. These two tunes are just some tunes. I think it came from a fellow named Amy Gagnon, who's a good friend of Claude Métier. I think I learned maybe them from him. First one is called Ride la Bourgeoise, the city woman. And the other one is called Ride Juliette, the snowshoe hare. Nice, good old French tunes. In G. Ride la Bourgeoise. Now, everybody else is going to come out on stage, and we're going to play a few tunes and send you all off with some good old, I think we're going to start with whatever Adam says. I think Ragtime Annie first. And
You only play it in 2 parts. It's like you'll learn that third part.
okay, all right. Don't stand up. Can I just stand up?
John and Sarah.
Okay, all right.
What are we playing?
I thought I was picking up.
We are.
You are.
All right, well then we're gonna do it in 2 parts, huh? All
Okay.
3.
Okay.
parts.
One more waltz. That's it, till we meet again.